This isn't a story that starts in a courtroom. It doesn't begin with a headline. It begins with a single handwritten post-it found tucked inside an FBI case folder attached to a sealed file marked Target Gomez status passive OBS. The note read, "We watched her grow up. She was a prototype Combs said to keep her close, but never too close, no contact, only curation." It wasn't part of an official report. There was no signature, but it was marked with a code used only by Diddy's former private intelligence team, now under federal investigation, and the girl it referenced, Selena Gomez. Selena had no idea she was being tracked, not in the way we think of it, not the tabloids, not the paparazzi. This was something different. Hotel check-ins flagged and forwarded, rehearsal footage archived through third-party talent agencies, travel patterns studied for emotional vulnerability cycles. She was only 16 when the first report was filed on her. Persona stability score, the file read, was high yield. Compliant, the meaning she says yes even when she means no. That line wasn't from a journalist. It was from an internal staffer at Combs' Influence Logistics consulting group Diddy founded in 2007, officially for artist development, unofficially for vetting candidates. It was a single candid Selena backstage at a Disney charity benefit, laughing, drinking water, completely unguarded. What made the photo dangerous? Who was in the background? A man blurred behind a stage curtain, wearing a headset. Not Disney staff, not tour crew, identified later as a Pulse Events auditor tied directly to the Scout Sync network previously used during Taylor Swift's Eras tour, except this was years before Swift's tour even existed. And Selena, she was the first confirmed case. A former publicist testified under federal protection that Selena's name was discussed in a 2012 Diddy hosted round influence grooming crossover strategies. She was called the prototype, not for talent, not for marketing, but for psychological malleability, someone who could be tested for thresholds without breaking. They never wanted to recruit her. They wanted to study her, build future assets based on her arc. After Selena can led 3 appearances in 2014 citing exhaustion, her name was marked as in flux. Pause observation, but the surveillance didn't stop. It just shifted. Her social circle was flagged as stylish. She once fired for overstepping boundaries, ended up working a private event sponsored by Diddy in Manhattan. Months later, he had access to her digital lookbooks, mood board, and personal wardrobe notes. A post-it that started it all was traced back to a folder stored in a Diddy-linked data room in Atlanta, one used for audition tapes, press kit intercepts, and leaked rehearsal reels. The name of the folder, Gomez Long Game. And in the corner of the very last page, a sketch of a key. Under it, someone had written, "She opened doors without knowing it, that's why they watched." And just a reminder, every deleted tweet, fake statement, and PR cover-up takes hours to piece together. If you want to help this channel keep going, hit that join button and become a member. We'll keep exposing what they won't. She was anonymous in court, but on social media she used to be everywhere. Red carpets, behind-the-scenes reels, get ready with me breakdowns for celebrities who never mentioned her name because they weren't supposed that she was a celebrity. Stylists contracted through third parties. But between 2013 and 2017, she worked closely and quietly with Selena Gomez. Her story was sealed in deposition, but the summary was read aloud, and in it she described a single mistake that changed everything. "I opened an envelope I wasn't supposed to. It was in her name, but it wasn't from her label. It had no return address, no branding, just Selena's initials handwritten in cursive inside a black and white photograph of her house in the desert, a folded, not a handwritten phone number on the back of a concert credential." The note read, "She fits the frame, wait until the rehab story hits. Then start building proximity." Pedro's stylist stared at the contents for 5 minutes, then sealed it back up, left it on the desk. But she never forgot that number because it had Selena's writing on it, and she knew because she had seen her handwriting 1,000 times before. Later that year, the stylist got a call from an unknown number she didn't pick up, but the voicemail she saved of the voice on the line was female, calm, slightly dazed. "I shouldn't have opened that. Though I don't know who was behind it, but it wasn't a stylist. A number was traced. It matched a prepaid line activated for 48 hours and disconnected. FBI forensics later confirmed the voice was Selena Gomez. In 2016, Selena announced a mental health break. She cited anxiety, burnout, lupus complications, but prosecutors revealed something hidden. Her name appeared briefly in a guest log of property in Nevada tied to a former Combs global wellness consultant only for 36 hours, and her name was scrubbed, the entry replaced with a placeholder private label retreat. And that same day, a media outlet ran a planted story about Selena attending a women's support center in Tennessee. She was never in Tennessee. I wasn't scared until that call. After that, I started checking my windows every night. She never told. Selena never followed up, but years later in 2023 she walked past a Diddy brand pop-up in Soho. In the window, printed on a limited edition t-shirt frame, her style, her silence. As she took a photo, submitted it with her statement, and said that shirt, that line was in the note. I read as her deposition was read in court. A photo was shown, Selena smiling, waving on a red carpet, zoomed in at the very edge of the frame, a man holding her camera, not press, not security, later identified as an asset specialist for a Combs-owned promo company. He wasn't filming her dress, he was filming her reaction. She wasn't a stylist, not a publicist, not a handler. She was just a makeup girl. That's how she described herself when she was first contacted by federal agents in 2024. Freelance hired, gig, sometimes with celebs, sometimes with stand-ins, body doubles, or promo lookbooks. But in 2015, she was hired for a week-long studio session, not for performance, not for a photo shoot, for what she was told was a prototype lookbook for future star grooming programs. A face on the inspiration board, Selena Gomez. It wasn't unusual to do face charts, highlight this contour, that design a mood, not just a look, but this one was annotated like a surveillance document. It included cheek fatigue triggers, measure smile width on take to 2C, avoid shimmer, reflects panic eyes, track dilation versus scripted flirt cues, and worst of all, a final heading labeled ideal expression. Hollow, the makeup artist, was confused until she saw the chart again 2 years later, used as part of a branding deck for a Combs global label campaign, except this time it wasn't labeled inspiration. It was labeled emotional projection control, verified via Gomez. She read aloud from her 2024 statement. I realized I wasn't glam for a shoot. I was reverse engineering her. They were trying to bottle the way she breaks and teach other girls to do it on cue. The address she gave matched a studio use in 2015 for influencer product shoots. But under the lease was a dummy corp link to Pulse events, and buried in the call sheet from that week with a redacted entry model training session 6 Gomez mock-up. No model names were listed, just initials, and one strange note: all subjects must be under 57, no eye contact, do not address subject. As Selena federal agents recovered a 14-second test clip from an archived drive tied to Cone Productions. In the clip, a young woman sitting silently wearing a black wig, red lip, posing against a gray backdrop. As she's told to smile, she breaks down crying. At the bottom of the frame, a file name flickers, Hollow 153. Final move. The video was de-stamped 1 week after the face chart was signed, and the girl was not Selena Gomez, but her expression matched the chart perfectly. The makeup artist ended her testimony with one final quote: when I asked why it mattered what she looked like when she cried, they told me because pain sells and no one sells it like her. It came from a raid, not on a studio, not on a label, a private storage unit leased under a shell corporation tied to Combs Global's now defunct artist wellness program. Inside were 14 drives, 12 labeled, 2 blanked. At one of those blank drives, when decrypted, contained a hidden directory named Patient Profiles Retention Tests, and in that folder a file labeled SG Alt 03 Compliant, SG Selena Gomez, except it wasn't her. It was formatted like a medical intake chart: patient SG 00003, age 18, height 55, build matched 98%, emotionally programmable, under-presenting issue. It read lacks awareness of prototype origin, subject believes talent pipeline was organic, under treatment goal full feed, EUE transformation, into passable substitute speech rhythm breakpoint mimicry attached were a headshot schedule of emotion response test performance rewrites of Selena interviews, and at the bottom a note written by hand, nearly ready, just needs to cry. On cue she took the stand and said this wasn't about cloning her image. It was about replacing her narrative so the audience couldn't tell who was real. In 2022, a girl was found in an outpatient rehab facility in Nevada. No public ID, no social presence. Staff called her Blair because it was stitched on the collar of her robe. She'd been admitted under a private contract signed by a media firm now linked to Diddy's web of shell companies. She spoke in short, overly rehearsed sentences, smiled exactly like Selena, especially when sad staff said she sang under her breath only. One song, Love You, like a love song, but she changed the last line, I forget you, every time. The FBI's behavioral team analyzed her mannerisms. They matched Selena's 2013-2014 press interviews with over 90% accuracy. She even used specific phrases, ones that Selena only ever said once in private off-cam moments. When asked where she'd learned them, she said, from the flashcards. In her file, the flashcard were listed under training material Gomez Psych imprint. The last page of SG Alt 00003's file included a strange instruction. If she breaks, pull the footage. If she resists, say she's unstable. If she remembers, say she's dramatic. And below that one last line, if anyone asks, she's just another fan. When Blair was finally moved to a federal protection program, she made a quiet request. She asked if she could meet Selena, not because she blamed her, but because she wanted to say, you didn't mean to make me, but they built me off your pain. This time it wasn't a tape, it wasn't a photo, it wasn't a witness. It was a flight manifest dated October 3rd. 2018 departure, Venice Airport, Los Angeles destination. Unknown passenger number 1, Gomez as passenger number 2, redacted passenger number 3, redacted tail number private Chatrafi Chado Sena, fin shell designation Pulse 7B. For years, Selena's fans assumed she had taken time off in late 2018 for health reasons. There were no press events, no paparazzi shots, just a quiet 3-week gap then. Rehab, but this manifest rewrote everything because the plane she took was tied to a Combs registered travel entity shut down in early 2019 after its corporate filings were flagged for false passenger records. An undisclosed security consultant, she hadn't spoken publicly since resigning in late 2018, but under subpoena she testified behind closed doors. What she said changed the tone of the entire investigation. She didn't tell anyone she was leaving, not even me. I found a note, just 5 words. Don't answer, don't come looking. The note was handwritten and on the back a boarding pass stub for the same tail number on the manifest Pulse 7B. What happened next wasn't confession, it wasn't exposed, it was something more disturbing. A 14-minute voice memo found on a seatback iPad left behind on the jet during a private cleaning sweep. Selena's voice cracked, controlled, not panic, but resigned. I thought this was recovery, but I think it's something else. There's a list they keep showing me. I don't know the other girls, but they all look kind of like me at one point. She pauses. They said I'm the center not because I'm strong, but because I cracked. First investigators later confirmed no flight plan was filed publicly. The destination was logged only as midpoint facility NV. No arrival photo exists of Selena that day, but someone else was on board. Another woman, initials AG, listed in the internal docs, and it wasn't confirmed, but prosecution hinted if true this places 2 of America's most famous female performers in the same unregistered flight routed through a grooming pipeline. They never stated the second name out loud, but the gallery had already made a connection to Ariana Grande. When the jet returned 3 days later, Selena was not on board. Her luggage was her iCloud login pinged 12 hours later from a different state. Her first public appearance after the flight, a mental health center in New York. No press allowed, no exit interview, just a single photograph. Selena with her hood up, holding a journal, the tabloid caption, rebuilding. Quietly. But on the corner of that journal was a single sticker, a red wristband pressed flat and stuck like a label. The last page of the manifest file contained a checklist: passenger 1 processed, passenger 2 tagged, passenger 3 withdrawn. And at the very bottom, subject SG requires reinforcement or replacement. Emotional consistency is declining. Prototype showing signs of self-awareness. The courtroom didn't breathe for 30 seconds because what they were reading was not about a celebrity. It was about A system, and Selena had become its blueprint. There were no names, no declarations, just a still image, a hotel vanity mirror in a Los Angeles recovery center dated November 2018. It was smudged with fingerprints streaked with tears and one message written in cherry red lipstick. She was never meant to stay me. The handwriting wasn't Selena's, but the room was booked in her name. Security footage showed a girl roughly the same height, same frame, wearing a black hoodie and dark sunglasses. She entered the suite at 2:17 a.m. She left through the back staircase at 3:41. She was never identified, but based on facial recognition markers, she matched 87% of Selena's biometric profile. Too similar to ignore, too different to be real. We believe this was one of the final projection trials an SG Mimic sent in for observation after the Pulse 7B flight wide to test whether anyone could tell the difference, whether this girl, a blended imprint, could move like Selena, react like Selena, and be forgotten like all the others. Her hoodie had a travel tag inside, not from a store, from an influencer distribution house used to ship promo apparel to talent agencies. The shipping origin combed Creative E, same label, involved in red wristband manufacturing, same entity listed under the Crimson 10 project. Underneath the sink in that suite, housekeepers found a small Ziploc bag containing a voice recorder, friendship bracelet, a folded page from a casting script, the script lines from a Selena Gomez interview word for word, including her response to the question, "What do you say to girls who feel unseen?" The script line said, "I see you," even when no one else does, but on the page someone had crossed it out underneath in messy black pen. The mimic wrote, "I only see her and I can't find me." In the final hour of closing argument, Selena's legal team submitted a statement, not speculation, not accusation, just a summary. And one final quote, "Ms. Gomez was not targeted. She was studied. She was broken down, sampled, and replicated by a system that never asked permission because it never intended to care." The courtroom sat frozen because after weeks of footage, voice memos, and falsified contracts, the truth wasn't about what Selena did. It was about what they did with her, a girl in a hoodie boards. A bus alone, she's humming a melody, muffled audio filters, in love you like a love song. She looks back, one smile faintly, and disappears into the dark. She was never the star, she was a prototype. And once they perfected the formula, they didn't need her anymore.